Okay, friends, James Corbett here, CorbettReport.com, finishing up the Reddit AMA. Again, sorry to anyone whose questions I didn't answer in this round, but I do appreciate all of you for taking the time to do this. I'm going to have to go and get some lunch and recuperate after this marathon session, but I do appreciate all of your questions, input, and feedback. Let's move on to the final question from Zeiderberg, who writes, "Hey James, huge fan of your website, been subscribed to your site for well over a year now. I feel that we have three ideologies that are shaping and guiding the world. We have the Zionists, the neoconservatives, and a financial ideology, fractional reserve banking, which is the undergirding the entire structure. Two of these seem to be nationalist ideologies, while the financial institutions reach are global. Are these all one and the same, or will the banking institutions latch on to any nation that can carry them further to a world currency and government?" Okay, this is this is such a huge question, but such an important one. I think that this relates to something that I've been really trying to articulate recently, and that I'm going to be doing a very important podcast on. One of the most detailed podcasts I think I've done probably ever is going to be hopefully dropping this week, later this week. I'm going to do one on China and the New World Order, which gets into the question of the China NATO Cold War. Is this a war? Are they connected at the top? My take on this, the way that I'm trying to describe it these days, and maybe, I don't know, you can tell me if it's a good way of describing it, but I think it's 2D chess versus 3D chess. So people might have seen Star Trek with the 3D chessboard where pieces can move up and down as well as left and right. I think what we're looking at is the chessboard two-dimensionally, and we see the nation-state system, the global map there, and we see like a Risk game, putting pieces here and there, and this nation-state trying to, get the resources of this area of the board, etc. And that 2D game that's going on is very real, and it's really taking place, and there are real people in that system, invested in that system, working towards the continuance of that system, the continuation of that system, and who really are fighting for one or another side in this sort of nation-state game. But above and beyond that is the guiding ideology of, I think, the upper part of the powers that shouldn't be, which is the globalist ideology, trying to ultimately, of course, get it into a one world government, one currency system, complete control over everything. And again, this is not new. I mean, this idea, this quest has been going on for thousands of years. I mean, the Caesars of the world and what have you have always attempted to rule over the world and unite it under one system. I think the powers that shouldn't be, the elite of our time, are doing the same thing. So that's the sort of the 3D chess game. And from that perspective, the ultimate outcome of the 2D chess game has to be that nation-states fight nation-states. It's horrible, it's bloody, people get wiped off the map, there's carnage. People at the bottom of the pyramid are crying out, "Oh, just make it stop, anything to make it stop." Global government descends as the answer, the solution from on high. This is, I think, the real strategy of what's going on here. So yes, there are various sort of nationalist-led ideologies. You point out the Zionists, the neocons. I think actually they're pretty much the same thing. But there are other nationalist ideologies. There are other 2D game kind of ideologies that play off against each other. But at the end of the day, I think it's the 3D chess game that's more important, because it's ultimately steering us, no matter which side of that 2D chess game that we go for, it's steering us towards the ultimate end goal of global governance. Global governance is the new warm and fuzzy phrase they want to shove down our throats. So it's a very complicated system. As I say, I'm going to be putting out a China and the New World Order podcast that's exceptionally important. I hope people get it and spread it to the four winds. It contains some important information about the way that the Chinese elite connect up with the Anglo-American establishment elite identified by Carol Quigley, and how all of this functions at that upper level to puppeteer the 2D game that's taking place. Again, that doesn't mean that the 2D game isn't taking place. It certainly is, and it certainly could result in actual military confrontation or economic confrontation or cyber warfare confrontation, and that confrontation is real and really happening, but at the same time, it's being directed for a purpose. So a lot more to say on that. I hope you'll stay tuned for that podcast. Once again, thank you to everyone on Reddit who's submitted your questions. I've tried to get to as much as I can, and well, hopefully if you like this one, maybe we can do it again sometime. So thank you all for your questions.